Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. This is our theory session for chemical kinetics. In this session we are going to discuss about the collision theory of reaction rates. See, we have discussed about the different types of reactions, that is the zero order reaction, the first order reaction, the second order reaction. Right? We have discussed about the order, we have discussed about how to determine the order. That is, we have discussed about how the concentration of a reactant is affecting the rate of reaction. Now, see, if there are say so many reactants, if they go on reacting, there will be product in our hand. Say there is a lot of hydrogen gas in the atmosphere, there is hydrogen also. If they'll combine, so what will happen? They'll just combine and form the product, that is water. So the hydrogen gas in the atmosphere will combine with, so all the hydrogen gas in the atmosphere will combine with all the oxygen in the atmosphere and will form water. So then what will happen? There will be water everywhere, right? So it doesn't happen. Even though the reactants which do react spontaneously, which have got a negative Gibbs free energy, they also do not combine. It means there are certain minimum or the basic conditions required for the reaction to take place. Right? It's not always that methane reacts with chlorine and forming methyl chloride. See, the reaction is, though the reactions are spontaneous, but they do not take place. So there is this theory given, that is the collision theory for the reaction rates, that what are the basic conditions which should be there so that the reactants, they combine and they form the products, right? So it is simple. It can be just said that okay, reactants, they are colliding with each other and they are combining and forming the products. But is it that every collision is leading to products? See, there are so many reactants. Say let's take up the two reactants only, that is the hydrogen and chlorine. Now I'm saying that these hydrogen and chlorine molecules, they collide with each other and they form HCl. So as soon as they collide, they are forming the product. It means the reaction should be instantaneous. That is, as soon as the reactants are mixed, they'll collide and they'll form the product. But it doesn't happen. The reactions are not instantaneous, except for the ionic reactions, which are instantaneous. As soon as the ionic compounds are mixed, the bonds are broken and the product is formed. But the reactions which involve the covalent molecules or the covalent compounds, they are not at all instantaneous. They are slow reactions, or they proceed at a specific rate. So what are the basic things which are governing this rate of reaction? So this collision theory was proposed for the reaction rates. That why certain reactions are instantaneous. Say instantaneous, fine, we have got the answer that the ionic reactions are instantaneous. As soon as the ionic compound is mixed, the bonds will be broken and a new ionic compound is formed. But what about the covalent compounds? What about the reaction rates of these compounds? So this was proposed by collision theory of reaction rates. So we'll be discussing about this collision theory in this session. So let's start our session here. Now what this collision theory states: the reacting species taking part in the chemical reaction can give products only in case they come in contact with each other or they collide with each other. That is, the product will be formed if they are colliding with each other or they are coming in contact with each other. It means that when the reacting species, they collide, they form the product. Now the second clause is, even if they collide, they may react. That is, it is not necessary that all collisions lead to products. It's not that there is a collision and it will lead to the formation of product. It may lead to formation of product. It is not at all necessary that all the collisions are leading to the formation of a product. The collisions among the reacting species which react in the formation of products are known as effective collisions, which result in the formation of, that is, the collisions among the reacting species which result in the formation of products are known as effective collisions. That is, all the collisions, they do not lead to the formation of product. There are only few collisions only which lead to the formation of products. Now these collisions are called as effective collisions. Now the number of collisions that take place per second per unit volume of the reaction mixture is known as collision frequency. That is the number of collisions of what? Of reacting molecules that takes place per second per unit volume of the reaction. Per unit volume of the reaction is known as what? Is known as collision frequency. Now collisions are taking place at a very fast rate, right? Say for example, if I am taking a bimolecular reaction, say in a bimolecular reaction, under ordinary conditions of temperature and pressure, collisions, they take place at very fast. That is, if there is a bimolecular reaction under ordinary conditions of temperature and pressure, the collision frequency is of the order of 10 to the power 25 to 10 to the power 28. It has been calculated, right? So what is a collision frequency? It is the number of collisions that takes place per second per unit volume of the reaction mixture. Now if a bimolecular reaction is taken, then under the ordinary conditions of temperature and pressure, collision frequency is of the order of 10 to the power 25 to 10 to the power 28. That is, the number of collisions that take place per second per unit volume is this. Now if the reactants are colliding at such a high rate, then the reaction would be what? Instantaneous. That is very, very fast. But does it happen? It doesn't happen always. It is the case with only the ionic reactions. When the reactions, they are ionic, that is, when the ionic compounds, they react, such case is there. But the covalent compounds, when they react, the reaction proceeds at a say definite rate. It is not instantaneous. So that is why it is said that every collision is not leading to the formation of a product. There are only few collisions which lead to the formation of products. Now the collision of reacting species which leads to the formation of product is known as collision frequency. Or not collision frequency, it is the effective collisions. That is, the collisions of the reacting species which lead to the formation of products are known as effective collisions. Now in order to make the collisions effective, what should be there? There are two barriers which the reactants have to cross. Now let's discuss about those barriers. In order to make the collisions effective, that is, what are the effective collisions? The collision of the reactant molecules which lead to the formation of products are what are the effective collisions. The reacting species have to overcome two barriers. These are the energy barrier as well as the orientation barrier. Let's first take up the energy barrier. In order to make the collision effective, reactants must have certain minimum energy known as the threshold energy. That is, every reactant molecule colliding with each other will not lead to the formation of a product. Now, for the reactant molecules to collide and form the product, what is required is that they should have certain minimum energy, and that is known as threshold energy. So the molecules which are having this threshold energy will only lead to the formation of product. Now, why is this energy required? Say if I am taking up the reaction of carbon monoxide and nitrogen dioxide, if there are, say, effective collisions, if all the collisions are leading to the formation of products, that is carbon dioxide and nitrogen monoxide, then the reaction would be completed within seconds. But it is not the case. So these molecules, they combine or they form the product, only few collisions, that is only few collisions of these molecules lead to the formation of products. Now those molecules whose collisions lead to the formation of product should have a minimum energy, that is the threshold energy. Why this energy is required? See, there are new bonds formed. The bonds between nitrogen and two oxygen atoms should be broken so that the new bonds are formed. So this energy is required to break the bonds in the reacting species. The collision of reacting molecules will not result in the formation of products if the energy is less than threshold energy. That is, if the molecules, the reacting species, are not possessing energy equal to the threshold energy, their collision will not lead to the formation of product. That is why, say, all the gaseous hydrogen present in the atmosphere is not reacting with all the oxygen molecules present and forming water. They will react under some certain conditions. Right? These hydrogen and oxygen molecules should be provided with some energy. They should have certain minimum energy, that is called as the threshold energy. Now this principle, this applies only to gases, but conclusions from it can also be applied in the reactions involving liquids. So we can apply these conclusions to the liquids also. Now what is the second barrier? The second barrier over here is the orientation barrier. The reacting molecules must be properly oriented. Means that atoms of different reacting species or molecules taking part in the reaction, which are to actually combine, must face each other. That is, they should be properly oriented. First condition is that they should be having certain minimum energy, that is known as the threshold energy, and the second condition is that they should face each other. They should be properly oriented. Of the two factors, energy factor is more significant than orientation factor. The reacting molecules have proper orientation. Having proper orientation will not form products if their energy is less than threshold energy. Let's take up the example of this reaction only, that is carbon monoxide and nitrogen dioxide. The reaction between carbon monoxide and nitrogen dioxide forming carbon dioxide and nitrogen monoxide. Now in this case, say if the orientation of carbon monoxide is like this, say carbon and oxygen, the molecule is oriented like this, and nitrogen dioxide, this is one oxygen, nitrogen and oxygen. The molecules can orient like this also, like this. They can also orient like this, say oxygen, carbon, then again this side nitrogen, oxygen and oxygen. So these are the possible orientations. Now in which case the product will be formed? In this case, of course, carbon is combining with oxygen. So in this case the product will be formed. Now in this case carbon is not combining with nitrogen, right? Or they can be oriented like this, this side carbon, oxygen, then again this side oxygen, nitrogen and oxygen. Now which collision will lead to the formation of product? We assume that both the reactants are having energy equal to the threshold energy. That is, they are having certain minimum energy required for the reaction to proceed. Now in which case, these are the possible orientation of these molecules. Say in the first case, carbon, this is forming what? Combining with oxygen, forming carbon dioxide. So this is what? This first step, cases, in the first case the molecules are properly oriented. Now in the second case, are they properly oriented? No, they are not properly oriented. Whereas in the third case also, they are not properly oriented. So in both the cases, the reaction will not proceed. So what all things are important for the collision to be effective or for the collision to form the product? First is the energy barrier, that is, the molecules should have energy equal to the threshold energy. Threshold energy is the certain minimum amount of energy required for the reaction to proceed, right? Or that is the minimum amount of energy required to break the bonds. And secondly, there is orientation thing, that the molecules should face each other and they should be properly oriented, right? See, even if the molecules are properly oriented but their energy is less than threshold energy, then also they will not form the products or their collision will not be effective. Now the rate of reaction depends upon the number of effective molecular collision between the molecules A and B of the reactants. Now that depends upon the number of effective molecular collisions, and that is given by, this is the effective molecular collision is given by, say if there is a bimolecular reaction A plus B forming the products, the rate of reaction will depend on the number of effective molecular collisions between these molecules. Now that is given by ZAB, that is the effective molecular collision, is equal to 8 pi RT into MA plus MB by MAMB root, this is root of it, sigma square AB, NA and NB. Now in this case, what are MA and MB? MA and MB are the masses of A and B respectively. Say we have taken here two reactants. So what are MA and MB? The masses. NA and NB are the number of molecules of A and B per unit volume. What is a collision frequency actually? Collision frequency is the number of collisions taking place per second per unit volume of the mixture, is known as collision frequency, right? Now in this case the ZAB is the collision frequency. Now in this case, this is the effective molecular collision, that is the which is leading to the formation of products, that is given by this expression. Now sigma AB is the effective molecular diameter. The collision frequency also depends on the diameter. and is given by sigma AB is equal to diameter of A plus diameter of B. And Na and Nb are the number of molecules per unit volume. So this is ZAB, that is the rate of this effective molecular collision. Say the rate of reaction is equal to, say, minus dx by dt. We know this. And that is equal to the effective collision frequency, that is Z, into F. What is F? It is the fraction of molecules whose collision is effective. Right? Now what is the expression for Z? Z is equal to this thing. And F is the fraction of molecules whose collisions are effective. Now, according to kinetic theory of gases, the fraction of molecules having energy more than the threshold energy at temperature T. See, this is what it is according to kinetic theory of gases. Theory of gases. The fraction of molecules having energy greater than threshold energy is given by the expression F is equal to e to the power minus EA by RT. Now what is EA? EA is the activation energy. What is activation energy? Say every molecule is not having the energy equal to the threshold energy. So some amount of energy is supplied from outside to the molecules, or some amount of energy is applied to the molecules so that their energy becomes equal to threshold energy. Now the energy which is supplied from outside is called as activation energy. So what will be activation energy equal to? Activation energy, that is EA, will be equal to the total energy supplied minus the threshold energy. Or you can say the total energy is equal to the activation energy plus the threshold energy. So the rate of reaction depends upon the number of effective molecular collision. Effective molecular collision depends on the energy of the molecules. It should be equal to the threshold energy, and of course the orientation of the molecules. Right? So rate is equal to the Z into F. What is F? F is the frequency the fraction of molecules having the energy greater than the threshold energy. So it can be also deduced as the number of effective collisions between A and B is equal to ZAB into Q. Now what is this Q? Q is the fraction of molecules possessing energy equal to or greater than the critical energy of collision. What is the critical energy of collision? That is the threshold energy. And from Maxwell's distribution law, this equation is deduced. The collision frequency, this can be Q is equal to the number of molecules having the energy equal to the critical energy for collision, that is the threshold energy, divided by the total number of molecules, and that is equal to exponential of E collision energy by RT. That is also called as the activation energy. So the term E collision by RT is known as Boltzmann factor. So you can see it both ways. This is the fraction of molecules having the energy equal to the your threshold energy is given by EA by RT. EA, we are assuming that if EA is equal to E threshold, it is assumed as EA A, that is the activation energy, is equal to E threshold energy. Or it can be given by the critical energy for collision, that is equal to threshold energy again. So both ways you can get in your books. Both are correct. Right? E collision, that is the critical energy for collision, is the minimum energy that reactant molecules must possess to form the product during collision. It can be also written as ET threshold energy, or it is normally written as EA. The reaction rate is equal to ZAB, that is the effective collisions, multiplied by the number of molecules having the energy equal to threshold energy, or they are having the critical energy required for collision. So the expression for ZAB is this, and the exponential of E collision by RT. Now what is reaction rate equal to? Reaction rate is equal to K into the, we can take it as Na into Nb. So K will be equal to what? K here will be equal to ZAB into E minus of E CO collision upon RT. Because reaction rate is equal to K into this. Right? So in place of reaction rate we can put, and we'll get this expression, that K is equal to ZE, that is Z exponential of minus of E collision by RT. Fine. So this is the relationship between the rate constant and the temperature. Now we'll be discussing about the effect of temperature on the rate of reaction. Let's first complete this thing. Is this thing completed? What all factors are there? There is the effective collision and the energy factor is there. What about the orientation factor? There are some steric factors also. Steric means the molecules, they repel each other. The bulky molecules, they repel each other. That is, the molecules which are having large size, they repel each other. In that case, what will happen? In that case, the reaction will not take place. So we'll have to take into consideration the steric factor also. That has to be also put in this equation. Say in case of large and complex molecules, now they possess what? They have this steric hindrance type of thing. They hinder each other, coming close to each other. Now in that case, a constant P called steric factor is introduced in the rate constant equation derived from collision theory. So reaction rate RT is equal to P ZAB exponential of EA E collision by RT, that is the critical energy for collision or E activation energy by RT. Right? This we'll be taking the critical collision energy. We'll be discussing about the activation energy later. So the rate constant K is equal to PZ exponential of E critical energy by RT. Now this value of P, that is a steric factor, can vary from 1 to 10 to the power minus 9. Okay, so the difficulty with the parameter P is that it cannot be calculated beforehand. We can't calculate it, because how much hindrance the molecules are showing each other or how much steric hindrance is there, it can't be calculated. It is calculated at the time of the reaction only. Right? So now we have got the relationship between the rate of reaction, the effective collision, the steric factor, as well as the activation energy and the temperature. How are they related? Now we'll be discussing about the effect of temperature on the rate of reaction.